I've said this before in chat. What do you think of abundance policies being pushed? I don't believe in abundance policies as a concept. Abundance liberalism, as far as I'm concerned, is grift bullshit made up by insufferable neolibs who want yet another rock to throw at the left while achieving nothing. If there are any specific ideas they have, then if they're good, then that's because they took them from me. That's all I have to say. What ideas? Selective deregulation as a way of more local home construction? Sure, I've already said that. I said that well before abundance liberalism was ever coined. So they must have taken it from me. It's the only explanation. What even is abundance liberalism? Well, you see, neoliberalism is failing and dying and everyone knows it and nobody believes in it. But there's a core team of Substack writers who make a living off of presenting new novel versions of it, rebranding it constantly so that they can continue to remain relevant. So rather than doing what any sensible person would do and become either a fascist or a socialist, they have to keep, essentially reinventing the square wheel. Just no matter what you do, don't critique capitalism. Trust me, no matter how obviously our social problems are being caused by capitalism, wealth inequality, and so on, do not blame that. It's always something else. Did you just call fascism sensible? I unironically think that you are more reactive to the immediate material moment if you, in this environment, in this day and age, are succumbing to fascism, like you are wooed by fascism, than by doubling, tripling, quadrupling, quintupling, sextupling, septupling, octupling, non-tupling down and going, no, actually, it's simply this iteration of liberalism that hasn't been tried. I genuinely think that like the ennui and the antagonism and the militancy and the insanity and the anti-rationalism demonstrated by fascists is at least more in line with the historical moment than these dead enders, Yeah, it's like burying your head in the sand. In the sand, you have to put like actual effort into ignoring the wave. This was written by one of the guys who wrote the goddamn book. We don't talk enough about the insane amount of blind dogmatism that it takes to be a neolib. Yep. So, like, what are we talking about here? Home ownership, housing crisis, da-da-da. Oh. Well, what am I supposed to do with this? Oh, wait, I actually have The Atlantic subscription. Well, I don't feel like logging in right now. What is abundance liberalism? I just think it's very indicative that the only thing I've seen the guys behind abundance liberalism do is argue with lefties about it online. I'm sure they have, I just haven't seen it. I have not seen any of them go like, I am going to aggressively push back against Trumpist, populist, fake solutions. I've just seen them arguing with lefties, which seems to be the main thing they do, to be honest. Vosh to neolibs, say one of these fascist or communist things or f*** off. Say one of these fascist or communist things or f*** off. Such a good bit. That got a lot of people. The worst part is the whole platform is like 90% municipal and state government policies, not an actual ideological framework. Well, the ideological framework is don't criticize capitalism. Vosh, Ezra Klein is famously anti-Trump, like that's very inaccurate. You have a listening issue. I didn't say that Ezra Klein liked Trump. I said that following the abundance liberalism thing, the only thing I've seen him do is argue with lefties about it. You have to respond to the words that I say and not to the words that you invent in your head and project onto me to make it easier for you to come up with the retort you already had baked. One obstacle is NIMBYism. Okay, so NIMBYism is bad, radical. California's high-speed rail system has been poorly implemented, radical. Chills. Is there anything to the idea apart from like selective deregulation for the benefit of like larger state projects and fixing the housing crisis? Because I already believe that. No, that's the whole thing? Okay. Jesus Christ. This is not me strawmanning or putting words in people's mouths. Here's how Thompson, that's the author of the article we were looking at a moment ago, described the role he sees abundance playing within the Democratic Party in an interview alongside Ezra Klein on the Lex Friedman podcast. Really just a phenomenal meeting of minds here. On the Democratic side, there is a fight, and it's happening right now, and our book is trying to win a certain intra-left coalition fight about defining the future of liberalism within the Democratic Party. This is what these Substack writers are doing with their time. Fascists won. They control every branch of government. They are overriding the Constitution. Meanwhile, what are we doing? Well, we're anti-NIMBY, but we're like also like there's like the lefties who like they like regulation, but like not in a specific sense, more like we're prescribing that. Basically, we're winning the fight against left-coded NIMBYism by targeting things that are ultimately put in place for the benefit of homeowners and real estate developers. Homeowners and real estate developers, of course, being famously left controlled organizations. Yeah, okay. Jesus. So I'm not of the left. I'm certainly not of the far left, but I do not begrudge the left for fighting because there's a fight to be had. It sounds like useless discourse. I wasn't exaggerating when I said these are Substack writers who exist to continue reinventing the square wheel as a way of driving more attention to themselves. Like in an era where fascism is winning, this is what they're spending their time doing. They don't care about the country. They certainly don't care about liberalism. They care about making money. Like many other people who make their living defending neoliberalism, like the Democratic Party. So these people are basically grifting. I think they're that unique kind of grifter where they're smug and intellectually insecure enough that they genuinely think that they're more intelligent than the people they're constructing devil's advocate arguments against. It's not like grifting in the sense of the right, where the right will just say lies because they know they can. It's more like they really smugly, they're like playing out a bunch of Twitter arguments they lost and got ratioed in their heads over and over and over. And they're trying to monetize the shower argument of a book they've written back. You guys get me. They're also terrified of people seeing the left as the only way out. Yeah, then nobody would look at their Substack. I think you're being uncharitable. You misspelled uncharitable, M. Betata. Possibly with the same mind that you used to suggest that I said that Ezra Klein likes Trump. Gotta work on that. Ezra Klein not being able to stand up to a billionaire that wants to buy Dem politicians? Why would a neoliberal stand up to a billionaire?
Can't get anybody on the phone. And in the Trump administration, you make the call, the deputy chief of staff picks up, you say, hey, I need you to talk to this company. I work with them. They're freaking out about the tariffs. The deputy chief of staff calls the company. They work something out.
No, not that they work something out. They listen.
They listen. This world in which we are doing the deal making by individual relationships, by who can get their calls answered, not by rules that feel clear and stable.
That's how the Biden. No, but that's how the Biden administration worked, Ezra.
That's not what Chamath said.
And that's not what I said.
Well, Chamath,
no, Ezra, you're trying to make it sound like corruption.
Hold on. I will.
Oh, heaven forbid, right?
George Clooney that was making the call. Who cares what George Clooney thinks?
Didn't you just say on, well, I was very, very critical of Biden.
No, I saw that clip, Ezra, and what Chamath said, what Chamath said is simply that the White House listens when he calls, whereas he couldn't get his calls returned by the Obama administration.
Great. I think we're actually not saying something all that different here.
You made it sound like corruption.
But I actually do think what Trump is working through is deal by deal patronage based on how he sees.
Keep in mind that Biden was actually apparently quite bad at directly responding to wealthy would-be patrons who wanted favor from the administration. Like there was an article written on this, or like there was a billionaire, I think it might have been that very guy, not Ezra, but the one he's talking to, which said like, yeah, it was frustrating that we couldn't get our calls into the Biden administration. That's good. That's how society should work. The billionaire here is essentially saying like, well, yeah, obviously I'm wealthy. I should be able to just call the president and get stuff that I want. And the host of this conversation apparently is like, bro, that's not corruption. And now Ezra Klein is like, I guess we don't really disagree on that much then. I don't know.
The company, I'm sorry, the other country.
That's not what happened. Ezra, can I just make sure that this is clear to you? This is a 150-year-old American business. I have no interest in that company except a friendship. These are Americans hiring Americans.
So there it is. Like and he goes on in this to talk about his expertise and knocking the Biden. But his first claim in that video was, I was a mega donor. I gave even more money to the Bidens. And Ezra does not go on to tackle the obvious problem, which is, hey, wait a second. Even if you didn't get special treatment, it was for a friend and it wasn't to. Why do you get to promote your friends?
Yeah, the argument from the billionaire is essentially, why the f didn't Biden return my calls? I gave the Democrats so much money. Isn't it great that Trump returns my calls? Like, it's just straightforward corruption. But that's, of course, that's the name of the game now, right? Like, in this environment, it's extremely blatant. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Not that you would ever expect Ezra Klein to, like, critique capital. The whole point of the Abundance book is to not do that.